Lieutenant Jack Porter stood at the observation deck of the U.S. Horizon, watching as the massive Valkyrie diplomatic vessel approached. Its sleek, crystalline structure gleamed against the backdrop of stars. This was humanity's first official diplomatic mission to the Valkyrie hegemony, and Jack felt the weight of history on his shoulders. Impressive, isn't it? Ambassador Olivia Wright appeared beside him. Her calm demeanor belied the tension Jack knew she must be feeling. Yes, ma'am. Different from our designs in every way. As are they, Lieutenant. Remember your briefing. The Valkyrie evolved in an environment very different from ours. Jack nodded. The preliminary scans had shown the aliens to be tall, muscular beings with 4 arms and iridescent skin. Their society valued physical prowess alongside technological advancement. The docking procedure completed with precision. Jack followed Ambassador Wright to the reception area where Captain Lisa Reeves waited with the welcoming committee. The airlock hissed open. The first Valkyrie to enter ducked through the doorway. Jack struggled to maintain his professional composure. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, the alien's upper body rippled with muscle. 4 arms ended in hands with 7 digits each. Its face featured 6 eyes arranged in a hexagonal pattern above a small mouth. Ambassador Wright, I am Supreme Diplomat Vaxlor. We welcome this exchange between our peoples. The translator rendered the complex clicks and whistles into English with only a slight delay. The pleasure is ours, Supreme Diplomat, Wright replied with a practiced smile. As the remaining delegation entered, Jack noticed their posture. Despite their formal words, there was something in the way they carried themselves, a subtle arrogance, perhaps. They looked at the humans with what seemed like amusement. The military contingent was particularly obvious. Their leader, Commander Zexville, towered over everyone else. His upper arms bore intricate markings that Jack assumed indicated rank or achievements. Your vessel is adequate, Zexville remarked to Captain Reeves. Though I wonder how your species manages with such limited physical capabilities. Reeves maintained her diplomatic smile. We've found ways to compensate, Commander. During the tour of the Horizon, Jack observed how the Valkyrie military officers assessed everything with critical eyes. They seemed unimpressed by human technology and openly skeptical of human capabilities. At the reception that followed, Jack found himself serving drinks to a group of Valkyrie officers. Look how small their muscles are, one said in their language, apparently unaware that Jack's translator was active. I could break one with my secondary arms alone. The reports say their homeworld is quite dense, another replied. Perhaps that explains their stocky build. Still, they move so slowly. I doubt they'd present much challenge in combat. Jack gritted his teeth but maintained his professional demeanor. As he moved away, Ambassador Wright caught his eye and subtly shook her head. Message received. Don't make waves. Later, Jack approached a younger Valkyrie who stood apart from the others. Unlike his companions, this alien seemed genuinely curious rather than dismissive. I am Kirith, Junior Diplomatic Attaché, the Valkyrie introduced himself. This is my first encounter with humans. Lieutenant Jack Porter, First Contact Specialist. Your species is fascinating, Lieutenant, so different from us, yet achieving spaceflight and quantum technology. I've studied your history. You've overcome much. Before Jack could respond, Commander Zexville interrupted. Kirith, don't waste time with pleasantries. We're here to evaluate, not socialize. As the commander led Kirith away, Jack caught Ambassador Wright watching the exchange with concern. They're sizing us up, Jack said quietly when he reached her side. Wright nodded. Yes, but not as allies. I believe they're assessing us as potential competition, or worse. What's our play? For now, we smile and continue the diplomatic dance. But Lieutenant, she added, lowering her voice, start gathering data on their physiology and homeworld. I suspect we might need it soon. As the reception continued, the subtle condescension from the Valkyrie grew more apparent. Jack watched and listened, increasingly certain that first contact was turning into first conflict. 3 days into the diplomatic mission, Jack Porter found himself in the Horizon's gym facility, running on a treadmill while deep in thought. The Valkyrie delegation had grown increasingly bold in their dismissive attitude toward humans. He increased the incline, pushing himself harder as frustration built. Working out the frustration, Lieutenant Ben Collins, the ship's science officer, stepped onto the adjacent treadmill. That obvious. Jack wiped sweat from his forehead. We're all feeling it. The way they look at us like we're children. Ben started his own workout, but I've been analyzing the data from their ship and their physiology. Something interesting came up. Jack slowed his pace. I'm listening. Their homeworld, Valk Prime, it has a gravity of only 0.6 Earth normal. That's why they're so tall and lanky despite their muscle mass. They evolved in an environment where things weigh almost half as much. Jack's eyes widened. So on their world. They're much stronger and faster, relatively speaking. But here, or on Earth, they'd be at a significant disadvantage. Before Jack could respond, his communication device chimed. Lieutenant Porter to Conference Room 1. Priority meeting. When Jack arrived, Ambassador Wright, Captain Reeves, and the other senior staff were already seated across from Commander Zexville and 3 other Valkyrie officers. Ah, the lieutenant arrives, Zexville said with what passed for a smile among his species. We were just discussing a proposal. Captain Reeves looked uncomfortable. The Valkyrie have suggested a series of joint military exercises to build trust between our species. Indeed, Zexville continued. Nothing builds understanding like seeing how others perform under pressure. Physical competitions, tactical simulations, tests of strength and endurance. Jack caught Wright's subtle headshake. She didn't like this. What kind of competitions? Jack asked. Combat sports, weightlifting, running, climbing, basic military skills. Surely your species values such abilities. There was that condescension again. We do, Captain Reeves said firmly, and we accept your challenge. After the Valkyrie left, Wright turned to Reeves. Captain, I'm not sure this is wise. We don't have much choice. Refusing would confirm their suspicions about our weakness. Reeves turned to Jack. Lieutenant, what are you thinking? You've been unusually quiet. Jack shared Ben's discovery about the gravity differences. They think we're weak because by their standards, we should be. But they don't know about Earth's gravity. So these friendly competitions are actually reconnaissance, Wright said. They're assessing our military capabilities. I think so, but we can use this. Let them underestimate us for now. The next day, the competitions began aboard the Valkyrie vessel. The human team struggled against the aliens' greater reach and multiple limbs. In hand-to-hand combat, even the strongest humans were overwhelmed. The running races weren't close. Only in marksmanship did humans hold their own. Jack noticed Kirith watching from the sidelines, taking notes. Enjoying the show? Jack asked during a break. I find it educational, Kirith replied. Though something seems off about these competitions. How so? You humans aren't performing as your historical records suggest you should. It's as if. Kirith, return to your duties. Commander Zexville appeared suddenly. Lieutenant, your team is performing admirably, considering your limitations. That evening, Kate Donovan, the Horizon's communications specialist, approached Jack with a troubled expression. I intercepted some internal Valkyrie communications, she whispered. They're discussing humans as physically unchallenging adversaries and debating the resource value of Earth sector versus the minimal military cost of operations there. Jack's blood ran cold. They're considering invasion. It seems that way. Jack straightened his uniform. I need to see Captain Reeves immediately. I think it's time we invited our new friends to visit Earth. Jack stood before Captain Reeves and Ambassador Wright in the captain's private quarters. The room felt smaller than usual as he explained what Kate had discovered. They're evaluating us as a potential conquest, he concluded. The competitions are just intelligence gathering. Reeves paced the room, her face grim. We suspected as much, but this confirms it. Ambassador Wright nodded slowly. The Valkyrie High Command sees us as easy targets, physically inferior, technologically manageable. That's why we need to change the playing field, Jack said. Literally. He outlined his plan to invite the Valkyrie delegation to Earth for the second phase of the exercises. Reeves looked skeptical. You want to bring potential hostiles to our home planet? Yes, Mom. They need to experience Earth's gravity firsthand. Right now, they're judging us by their standards. They don't understand what we've evolved to endure. Ambassador Wright tapped her fingers on the desk. It's risky, but it could work. A diplomatic invitation for cultural exchange, with military exercises as part of the program. And if they're planning something more aggressive, Jack added, better to show our strength now than wait for them to make the first move. After an hour of debate, Reeves finally agreed. Make it happen, Ambassador. But we'll take precautions. The next morning, Wright approached Supreme Diplomat Vaxlor with the proposal. Jack watched from across the room, trying to read the alien's reaction. A visit to your homeworld. Vaxlor's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. That is, unexpected. Cultural exchange is the foundation of lasting peace, Wright said smoothly. And since we've experienced your hospitality, it seems only fair to reciprocate. Commander Zexville, standing nearby, interjected. The military exercises have been enlightening. Continuing them in your environment would provide valuable comparative data. Jack fought to keep his expression neutral. Of course, Zexville would want to assess Earth's defenses directly. Then it's settled, Wright said. We'll arrange transport immediately. As preparations began, Jack sought out Ben Collins in the science lab. How much do they know about Earth's conditions? He asked. Ben displayed a holographic comparison of Earth and Vulc Prime. According to our database exchanges, we shared basic planetary statistics. They know our atmosphere composition, orbital period, and gravity minus 1.0 g in our measurements, which is approximately 1.6 times their gravity. But knowing the number and experiencing it are very different things, Jack said. Exactly. The Valkyrie evolved in 0.6 g. Their muscles and cardiovascular systems aren't adapted for our conditions. Ben leaned closer. They'll be like humans trying to function wearing weighted suits. Over the next few days, the human crew prepared for the journey home. Jack noticed increased communication between the Valkyrie vessel and their homeworld. Kate kept him updated on what she could intercept. Their military leadership is split, she told him during a private briefing. Some see visiting Earth as a valuable intelligence opportunity. Others worry about sending their delegation into what they call extreme conditions. And Commander Zexville. He's pushing hard for the visit. He seems very confident. The night before departure, Jack found Kireth in the observation lounge, staring at the distant speck of light that was Earth. Are you looking forward to seeing our world? Jack asked. Kireth turned, his expression unreadable to human eyes. I am curious. Your species has achieved much despite your physical differences. Sometimes strength isn't just about muscle mass, Jack said carefully. Indeed. Kireth paused. Lieutenant, I should warn you. Some in our delegation view this visit differently than others. How so? Let's just say Commander Zexville has ambitions that extend beyond diplomacy. Kireth glanced around nervously. The High Command has authorized him to make certain assessments of Earth's defenses. Kireth didn't answer directly. Just be careful, Lieutenant. Not all of us share his perspective, but those who oppose him tend to suffer accidents. As Kireth walked away, Jack felt a chill despite the temperature-controlled environment. The upcoming visit to Earth was no longer just a strategic move. It was becoming a dangerous game. The Earth loomed large in the view screen as the transport shuttle approached the landing zone in Nevada. Jack watched the Valkyrie delegation with careful attention. They had been briefed about Earth's gravity, but knowledge couldn't prepare them for the experience. "We'll be landing in 5 minutes," the pilot announced. "All passengers secure for atmospheric entry." Commander Zexville turned to Jack. "Your planet looks dense." "Home sweet home," Jack replied with a smile. "You'll find it has its charms." The shuttle descended through clouds and finally touched down with a gentle bump. Jack unbuckled his restraints with practiced ease. The Valkyrie followed suit, their movements confident, until the doors opened. The moment Earth's full gravity hit them, the change was visible. Commander Zexville took his first step and nearly stumbled. His forearms, normally held high in a display of strength, seemed to drag downward. The other Valkyrie showed similar signs of strain. "Are you all right, Commander?" Jack asked innocently. "Fine," Zexville growled, straightening with visible effort. "Just adjusting to your atmosphere." As they disembarked, Alan Martins, Earth's leading xenobiologist, waited to greet them along with Ambassador Wright. "Welcome to Earth," Wright said formally. "We hope your stay will be both productive and enlightening." The Valkyrie delegation moved slowly down the ramp. Each step seemed to require concentration. Their normally graceful movements had become labored, almost clumsy. "I've arranged accommodations designed for your comfort," Martins explained as they walked toward the facility. "We've attempted to adjust the living quarters to better match your physiological needs." Jack noticed Kireth lagging behind, visibly struggling with the gravity. He fell back to walk beside the junior diplomat. "Taking it hard?" Jack asked quietly. "It's remarkable," Kireth panted. "How do you move so easily? I feel like I'm wearing armor made of lead. We were born in this gravity. Our muscles, bones, even our hearts developed to handle it." Kireth looked at him with new understanding. "No wonder your people are so compact and dense with muscle." Inside the facility, the Valkyrie delegation was shown to their quarters. Commander Zexville requested an immediate meeting with his officers, closing the doors to human observers. Jack didn't need to eavesdrop to know they were reassessing their evaluation of humanity. Later that evening, Martinez gave a presentation on comparative physiology between humans and Valkyrie. "As you can see," he explained, pointing to a holographic display, "humans evolved under gravity approximately 1.6 times stronger than Valk Prime. This resulted in denser bone structure, more compact musculature, and stronger cardiovascular systems." Commander Zexville watched with narrowed eyes. "How long will it take for my people to adapt to these conditions?" "Partial adaptation might occur within weeks, but full adjustment could take generations of living here," Martins replied. "Your species evolved for a different environment. Just as humans would struggle on worlds with significantly higher gravity than Earth." After the presentation, Commander Zexville approached Captain Reeves. His posture was noticeably less confident than during their previous encounters. "Captain, I believe we should postpone tomorrow's physical competitions. My troops require time to acclimatize." "Of course, Commander," Reeves agreed smoothly. "We understand completely. Perhaps we could begin with tactical simulations instead. Those don't require physical exertion." Zexville nodded stiffly and walked away. Jack could see the alien's legs trembling slightly with each step. "He's worried," Ben Collins whispered, joining Jack by the refreshment table. "I've been monitoring their vital signs. Their heart rates are elevated just from standing around." "Good," Jack said. "Let them worry." That night, Jack caught Kireth attempting to walk the facility's corridors as exercise. "Trying to adapt?" Jack asked. Kireth nodded, breathing heavily. "Your world is humbling. All my life, I believed the Valkyrie were physically superior to most species. Now I understand. Environment shapes everything. That's the lesson we hoped you'd learn." "Some lessons are harder than others," Kireth replied, looking meaningfully toward the room where Commander Zexville was meeting with his officers, "and some refused to learn at all." After 3 days of acclimatization, Commander Zexville could no longer delay the competitions without losing face. The Valkyrie delegation gathered at the training facility, Their movements still labored in Earth's gravity. "Today we resume our friendly competitions," Captain Reeves announced. "We've designed activities that showcase different skills important to both our militaries." Jack stood with the human team, watching as Zexable tried to hide his discomfort. The commander's upper arms trembled slightly from the effort of holding them in their customary raised position. The first event was a simple obstacle course. On the Valkyrie ship, the aliens had completed it in half the time of the humans. Now, the situation was reversed. The human participants moved through the course with practiced ease, climbing walls, swinging across gaps, and crawling under barriers. When it was the Valkyrie's turn, they struggled visibly. Their normally impressive jumps fell short. Climbing required all four arms working together. By the finish line, they were gasping for breath. "Amazing how environment affects performance," Ben Collins commented loudly enough for the Valkyrie officers to hear. Next came weightlifting. Private Sam Murphy, a stocky Marine with a cheerful disposition, stepped up to a barbell loaded with 200 pounds. "This is a standard military fitness test weight," he explained, then lifted it cleanly overhead with a grunt. When Zexval's second-in-command attempted the same, he could barely get it to his chest. The Valkyrie officers watched in stunned silence. "Would you like to try a lighter weight?" Sam offered innocently. Throughout the day, the pattern continued. Simple human tasks became impressive demonstrations of strength and endurance. Carrying standard equipment packs, running a mile, climbing a rope. Activities the Valkyrie had dismissed as trivial now seemed like extraordinary feats. Jack noticed Kirith watching intently, taking notes and occasionally glancing at Commander Zexval with concern. During a break, Kirith approached Jack. "I need to speak with you privately," he whispered. "It's urgent." They found a quiet corner away from the others. "Commander Zexval sent an encoded message to the Hegemony fleet last night," Kirith said, his voice barely audible. "He's requesting a reassessment of the invasion plans." "Invasion?" Jack kept his expression neutral despite his alarm. "So we were right. The warrior faction has been pushing for expansion into your sector. They believed humans would be easy to subjugate based on initial observations." Kirith looked down. "I was sent to gather cultural intelligence for the occupation. And now Zexval is panicking. He's seen what humans can do in your natural environment. But rather than recommending cancellation of the invasion, he's suggesting more advanced weaponry and tactics." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I've seen enough to know that a war between our peoples would be catastrophic for both sides." Kirith straightened as much as Earth's gravity allowed. "Not all Valkyrie desire conquest. The diplomatic faction, which I truly serve, seeks peaceful coexistence." Jack studied the alien's face, wishing he could better read Valkyrie expressions. "What exactly are you proposing?" "Help me get evidence of the warrior faction's deception to my government. They've been understating human capabilities and overstating the ease of conquest." Before Jack could respond, they were interrupted by Commander Zexval's approach. "Kirith, your presence is required with the diplomatic team." The commander's 6 eyes flicked between them suspiciously. After Kirith left, Jack immediately sought out Captain Reeves and Ambassador Wright. In the captain's secure office, he relayed Kirith's information. "If this is true, we need to act quickly," Wright said. "The Horizon detected unusual activity from the Valkyrie vessel in orbit. They could be preparing for military action. Or calling for reinforcements," Reeves added grimly. "Either way," Jack said, "we need to make our next demonstration even more convincing. Show them exactly what they'd be facing if they tried an invasion." "What did you have in mind, Lieutenant?" Reeves asked. "Something that will make today's events look like a warm-up exercise." Jack smiled tightly. "Let's show them how humans fight when defending their home." The alarm sounded at 300 hours, jolting Jack from sleep. Red emergency lights pulsed through the corridor as he rushed toward the command center. Captain Reeves was already there, studying a tactical display with Kate Donovan. "What's happening?" Jack asked. The Valkyrie vessel has changed orbit and launched 2 smaller craft, Kate explained. They're refusing all communication. Zexville and half his security detail disappeared from their quarters an hour ago, Reeves added. We believe they've returned to their ship. Ambassador Wright entered, looking grim. Supreme Diplomat Vaxlor claims he knows nothing about this maneuver. Either he's lying or Zexville is acting without diplomatic authorization. He's making his move, Jack said. Where's Kirith? Still in his quarters under guard. He's requesting to speak with you. Jack found Kirith sitting stiffly, 2 Marines watching him closely. The Valkyrie looked up, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of distress, Jack had learned. Zexville has initiated the contingency plan. Kirith said without preamble. He's calling in a battle group that was waiting at the edge of your system. How many ships? 3 warships. Not a full invasion force, but enough to secure this facility and capture your leadership. Kirith struggled to his feet. You must let me contact the diplomatic council. Zexville is exceeding his authority. Jack studied the alien. Why should I trust you? Because I've seen your world. Your people. This war would devastate both our species. Kirith's voice lowered. And because I've grown to respect you, Lieutenant Porter. After consulting with Captain Reeves, they allowed Kirith limited access to a communication array. Meanwhile, Earth's orbital defense platforms were quietly activated, and the Horizon prepared for emergency launch. 6 hours later, the situation escalated. The 3 Valkyrie warships arrived, positioning themselves in aggressive formation. They're demanding we surrender the facility and all human leadership for protective custody, Kate reported. Standard prelude to occupation, Jack muttered. Captain Reeves straightened her uniform. It's time for our demonstration. Then, the plan unfolded rapidly. As the Valkyrie deployed landing craft, Earth revealed its defensive capabilities, not by firing weapons, but through action. The U.S. Horizon launched from Earth, executing maneuvers that would crush unprotected human bodies under the G-forces. Simultaneously, 3 squads of human space marines performed a counterboarding operation on the original Valkyrie diplomatic vessel. Their suits were designed to broadcast vital signs and physical performance metrics on all Valkyrie frequencies. Jack led one of the teams. As they moved through the alien ship in Earth normal gravity suits, they encountered minimal resistance. The few Valkyrie security personnel on board could barely function in their combat armor, designed for their lighter homeworld. This is a demonstration only, Jack reminded his team over the comm. Non-lethal takedowns. The operation took 17 minutes. The Valkyrie crew watched in stunned silence as humans moved with impossible speed and strength in their environment. Jack's team secured the bridge, where they found Commander Zexville directing the crisis. Your ships will stand down, Jack informed him calmly, or we'll demonstrate what happens when humans actually decide to fight. On the main view screen, a transmission appeared from Earth. Ambassador Wright stood beside Kirith and Supreme Diplomat Vaxlor. Commander Zexville. Vaxlor's voice was cold with anger. You have violated protocol and endangered our people. The Diplomatic Council has revoked your authority. They don't understand, Zexville argued. These humans, their world, it's all much more dangerous than we assessed. Exactly, Kirith interjected, which is why provoking them is madness. The standoff lasted another 2 hours. Jack remained on the Valkyrie bridge, watching as messages flew between the ships and Earth. Finally, the warships began to withdraw. The crisis appears to be over. Kate's voice came through Jack's comm. The Diplomatic Council has ordered all Valkyrie ships to pull back to neutral space. As Jack prepared to return to Earth, Zexville approached him, defeat evident in his posture. Your species, the commander said quietly, is terrifying. Jack smiled slightly, only to those who threaten us. How do you bear it, living every day under such crushing gravity? The same way we bear anything difficult, Jack replied. We adapt. We get stronger. And we learned to see gravity not as our enemy, but as the force that shaped us. 2 months after the orbital standoff, Jack stood in the newly constructed Interspecies Training Center in Colorado. The facility had been designed with variable gravity chambers to accommodate beings from different worlds. Today marked the official opening, with delegates from 12 alien species in attendance. "Hard to believe how much has changed," Ben Collins said, joining Jack by the observation window. Below them, a group of Valkyrie soldiers struggled through exercises in a chamber set to Earth normal gravity. Their instructor, Sergeant Sam Murphy, demonstrated proper technique for a standard push-up. "They're improving," Jack noted. "That one in front can almost do 10 now." "Progress," Ben agreed. "Slow but steady." The door opened behind them, and Kirith entered. In the 2 months since the crisis, the Valkyrie diplomat had spent more time on Earth than any of his people, gradually adapting to the gravity. He still moved carefully, but no longer appeared to be in constant strain. "Lieutenant Porter, or should I say Major Porter now?" Kirith's mouth formed the approximation of a human smile. "Just Jack is fine," he replied. "How was the council meeting?" "Productive. The non-aggression pact has been ratified by both governments." Kirith joined them at the window. "And the scientific exchange program has been approved. 20 human researchers will visit Volk Prime next month, and will send 30 Valkyrie scholars to Earth." Jack watched as one of the Valkyrie trainees below collapsed after completing a set of jumping jacks. "Your warriors still don't look happy about the new alliance." "They're soldiers. They adapt to new realities." Kirith's primary hands clasped behind his back in a gesture he'd adopted from humans. The warrior faction lost considerable influence after Zexful's disgrace. "The recordings of your Marines boarding our ship in full gravity made quite an impression." The facility's main doors opened as Ambassador Wright entered with Captain, now Admiral, Reeves, and a group of dignitaries from both species. "The formal tour is starting," Ben said. "Should we join them?" "In a minute," Jack replied, still watching the training below. After Ben left, Kirith turned to Jack. "I received my new assignment today." "Oh, I've been named the first permanent Valkyrie ambassador to Earth." Kirith seemed both proud and nervous. "It's a great honor, but also a challenge. Few of my people can tolerate extended exposure to your gravity." "You've done better than most," Jack observed, "because I believe the effort worthwhile." Kirith hesitated. "And you? I heard rumors about your next posting." Jack nodded. "It's official as of this morning. I'll be the military attaché to Volk Prime. First human assigned to your homeworld on a permanent basis. You'll find our gravity liberating. Many humans report feeling almost like they can fly." "I'm looking forward to it," Jack smiled. "Though I might need to be careful not to jump through the ceiling." They walked together toward the main atrium where the ceremony would take place. Along the way, they passed displays showing the rapid progress in human-Valkyrie relations, scientific collaborations, cultural exchanges, joint military exercises. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out this way?" Kirith asked. "When we first met, and my people looked down on yours?" "Honestly, no. I was preparing for war." As was I. Strange how gravity changed everything. In the atrium, Admiral Reeves was addressing the gathered diplomats and media. "Today marks not just the opening of a facility, but the beginning of a new understanding between species. We came to the brink of conflict and found friendship instead." Jack took his place among the Earth delegation. Across the room, Commander Zexful, demoted but still serving as a military liaison, caught his eye. The Valkyrie gave a respectful nod, which Jack returned. Later, as the formal reception began, Jack found himself by a large viewport overlooking the Rocky Mountains. The Valkyrie delegates marveled at Earth's rugged landscape, so different from their smoother, lower-gravity world. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Kirith said, joining him. "Yes, though I suspect I'll say the same about Volk Prime. Different kinds of beauty, different worlds." different strengths. Kirith looked around at the mingling species. Yet here we all are, finding common ground. Jack raised his glass in a toast. To gravity, the force that tried to keep us down, but ultimately lifted us to the stars. Kirith laughed, a sound he had practiced to please his human colleagues. To gravity, indeed, and to the surprising strength of those it shaped. Outside the viewport, the sun set over the mountains, casting long shadows across a world whose heavy pull had created a species strong enough to reach for the stars, and humble enough to welcome those they found there.